I like some of your headlines. Where you had. What was
said
you saying?
The headlines sound good.
Yeah, no. I didn't listen to, but what was it? Porta John.
A porta
something?
potty philosophy.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh, I had to argue with my brothers about that. Like, man, that's too unprofessional. I'm like, dude,
it's so true on construction. It's where everybody leaves their feelings.
Yes. You're listening to the Learnings and Missteps podcast, where we intend to change the image of careers in the trades. We celebrate the real men and women who have built careers in the construction industry by bringing their personal stories straight to you. I began my career as a plumber's apprentice in the late 1900s. Over the last 26 years, I've had the fortune of meeting some of the most resilient, intelligent, and inspiring people who happen to be construction workers. My career path as a plumber has provided me with experiences and opportunities I thought were inaccessible. And I want you to know that the trades are a place where dreams can come true. These stories are brought to you by three brothers who share a mother. I am Jesse, your host. Our in-house writer is Ernest, a.k.a. La Voz.
Hello.
And our co-host, Renee.
What's up?
Y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
Dale.
Welcome back, y'all. We got a pretty sweet little episode for y'all. It's a bit of a party. It's a conversation between myself, Noah Hermes, Jeremy Charles, and Doug Burchard. We all worked together back in the day, all have a plumbing background. It's been a few years since we've hung out. If you want to get the feel of hanging around a bunch of older dudes, reminiscing about the younger days, and get a sense of the depth of relationships that can be formed out in the construction industry. It's almost like these guys been spending every weekend together for the past 10 years. That's a function of the special, long-lasting relationships that are formed working out on the job site, sweating together, cussing together, growing and learning together. So hope you enjoy the show. And one last thing. We've set up a Patreon account for those of you who want to further contribute to our mission of changing the image of careers in the trades. Signing up at patreon.com/learnings and missteps will get you access to exclusive content and your names in the opening credits of the video versions of these episodes. Yeah, you heard me right. We got that fire for you, baby, on YouTube. Love y'all, and here we go.
Yeah.
Man, all that humidity, it's not good. It's not good for the dupe. Well, first off, who hasn't listened to the podcast?
Right here.
Doug?
I mean, I think I might have turned it on one day I think we're your very first one when it came across my Facebook.
I think that's probably what I watched too, man, to be honest.
You're full of shit.
I think I just know you're doing badass shit, so I just assume that's the case.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I like some of your headlines. Where you had. What was you saying?
The headlines sound good.
Yeah, no. I didn't listen to, but what was it? Porta John.
A porta
something?
potty philosophy.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Did you really?
It's so true on construction.
I'm telling you.
It's where everybody leaves their feelings.
Yes.
Right? So where you at, Jeremy? You at like your office or you at some restaurant? Or?
Nah. I mean, I'm on that PM money now, so I got a little studio downtown.
I mean,
studio downtown.
I mean, it looks nice. That's what I was.
Yeah. It's the can factory, you know.
Okay, damn.
Southtown. Yeah.
Living it up.
Yeah. And I just to give you a heads up though, I frequently change locations, so you might see that.
Gotcha.
He's the maintenance man. All right. Who we got on the call? We got Noah Hermes, Doug Burchard, and Jeremy Charles. How did we all come together?
TD Industries to sum it up, I guess.
Long story. Long story, but that sums it up.
Who met who first?
Well, I met you. Me and you go way back.
Oh, that's right. We went to high school together.
As far as everybody else, I I met Noah and Doug at TD for sure.
School sweethearts, right?
Jesse had a lot of high school sweethearts.
I don't know when I officially met Doug. I know it was prior to Pearl.
You were in the bridge team when we met, working for
Bradley.
forget the guys. Yeah, there you go. They were
Yeah.
teaching you how to loaf off. I remember that.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't think they were teaching him. He he came with expert level slacker.
That's
Yeah.
why you wanted the job, right?
That was Doug that wanted you. I was just trying to support Doug. Shit.
Yeah, I did ask for you.
Now I think half of us, Doug and Noah, y'all are with TD Industries. Y'all are
Yeah.
both superintendents.
Correct.
Yeah, Noah's brand new. How long you been superintendent, Noah?
3 weeks.
Oh, damn! So fresh.
Fresh as
Yeah, his name was taken out of the hat.
Further evidence of the labor crisis that we're experiencing. You like that one?
That's how you get your promotions, a drawing at the
I
office.
guess
Yeah.
so. That's how I
Yeah, it's a true vacuum, that's for sure. We're moving people up and not filling the void.
Man, that's rough. Hell no, you were an apprentice. Doug, you and I think we're both foremen when we met Noah, and Jeremy was an apprentice back then too.
Yeah.
Did we ever work on the same project
No,
together?
I think so. I'm trying to think of years, right? I want to say in 2008 is when I went to go work for TD. And at the time, you had just made superintendent.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I
And
went to go work with, I think, Rob Chavez on that south side dental facility. So I worked with him for a little bit. And then I was fortunate enough to end up on Doug's crew at Palo Alto.
Yeah, Palo Alto.
Was it Palo Alto? And we worked at some military job too. We were doing chilled water.
Oh, yeah, we did that at Lackland. Yeah.
Was it Lackland? Yeah.
Fort Sam.
Fort Sam, maybe. I can't remember.
Oh,
And
no, yeah, you're right.
Jesse
Fort Sam.
was super on that as well.
So you were brand new super is what it was. And then
Jesse got to see internal affairs and everything on that job. It was that gym job we were remodeling. They arrested you at the front gate or something like that.
Oh, yes. That was a 360. You know what? We were all on that job too.
Yeah.
Weren't you there, Doug?
We were.
Yeah, I started that job, and I think Noah finished it up. I
Yeah,
think
I
I might have went to the city base right after that, and Noah finished it.
Jeremy was there. He got all pissed off because he didn't want to cut the pipe in the gym a certain length.
Oh,
You remember that?
oh, that was at Fort Sam Gym.
Yes.
yeah. It stayed
was
active during the whole project.
I remember that one. Yeah, I mean, I was probably right. If I didn't want to cut it, then I was for a reason.
Yeah. So 3 of us on the call are journeymen. What were you again, Jeremy?
I was a super apprentice. Yeah, I don't think they have those anymore. But I was like skip, journeyman, master, super.
Lots of potential is what you was. Lots of potential.
Yeah. And if I would have stayed, I would have hopefully got the journeyman and all that. Hopefully. Wow. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, you would have.
Okay, so that was 2008. How long ago was that? 13 years ago?
Jesus. Yeah. God,
Right?
damn.
Yeah. I've been TD for going on 15 now. So
Dude. So Doug, I remember meeting you. There was a job off of Fredericksburg Road. It was like a bank, Heritage Bank. And I think you had just moved down from up north. And it was your first summer working on the roof. Jerry Chavez was the foreman at that time.
yeah, I was working in Bridge when I first came to TD, and working with Jerry Chavez. I don't remember a bank, but first time I remember meeting you, Jesse, was at the hotel in San Marcos that we were doing. Big project. I think Mitch Arnold was the super, and Dan Thompson was the foreman on that project, and we kind of TD as a team all came together. And I remember you being there. In fact, you were actually going to school at the time when you were working over there, talking about becoming a super.
Did I want to be a super? I don't remember.
I just remember you were moving on up is all I remember.
That was Embassy Suites.
Embassy Suites, yeah.
Yep.
That was my first year at TD.
And Noah, where did I work with Noah at?
it had to have been Bridge, I think. I think we met prior to STAC and and what was it, Walgreens downtown.
Yeah, that was talk about milking a project. No, not the SAC. What building was that?
Behind Bill Miller's. That's all I remember.
That's right. And so, Jeremy, we went to high school together. You were class of 96?
98.
You saw the leadership qualities I had as a senior in high school, and that's why you followed me.
No, nothing like that. It was the party. You had a party. Yeah.
Just one?
Is that the one where he's humping you on the face?
No.
No?
No. It was just I was a freshman, got to go to a party, and yeah.
So he was a bad.
Oh yeah, completely, totally, yeah. No, as a matter of fact, when we crossed paths years later, and he said he was doing this plumbing gig, and I was one surprised he was still alive too. That he had like a real job and a profession, and so it was kind of like that. It was more in that vein.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun.
But you definitely got it together, man. I bought into when I talked to you and you asked me. I was working at USAA at the time.
Oh,
you remember that conversation?
I do. We're at Marty's house.
Yeah. And I wasn't real excited about sitting in a cubicle. And he goes, "Well, you want to come do a real job?" I said, "Well, what is a real job?" And that's how I ended up in plumbing with you guys.
And now you're back at the cubicle.
Yeah. So now I am a project manager for a subdivision development company. Yeah. Utility site work.
Dude, that's good though.
Yeah, it's good. It's less cubicle. Nobody's calling. Well, I get a lot of phone calls, sure, but it's not customer service like.
I mean, you beat me. You went from apprentice to a PM. I'm still trying to get there.
You don't want to be a PM, liar. Yeah, well, that's a lot of school, so I just went the school route. Yeah, you guys got all that real experience. I went to school for a while.
So on that, like you went to work for USA, then you went to school. Now you're project manager. What was it that you wanted to do? Like back in the day when you were in high school or middle school, you just wanted to be close to me?
No. I joined the military and got far away. I was traumatized. So then I joined the military, man. I don't know. You know, for a lot of years, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And I guess that's why I joined the military. And then I wanted to be a pharmacist. And then I got into construction. Yeah. My story's crazy. I've always been around construction family. So I always did a lot of residential stuff. And I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it and fell back in love with it after working with TDI and seeing something come from nothing and decided to just go back to school and see what I could get that construction science and management degree. And so that's how I just chased it that way. I just went that way. I was always starting from behind. You guys had all these years experience, man. So.
But I didn't pick my career either. It picked me. I fell into plumbing. I was actually going to school for engineering back
really?
at Ohio State. Yeah.
Damn,
I did one trimester, whatever they called it back then, and happened to get a day job working for a plumbing company. And I stopped the schooling, and I was just making money. I was making enough money. I didn't feel I needed any more at the time. and I didn't like going to school. So I said, all right, let me just keep on plumbing. And they ended up sending me an apprenticeship program, and it kind of, like I say, picked me. It was not my job of choice.
Yeah, I guess nobody is in high school and is like, I want to be a plumber.
Right.
Well, that's what Jesse's trying to change.
Exactly.
And that's what we need.
Like, we can't all be as sexy as me, but we all have some stories that can motivate those students. And I think, Jeremy, you pointed it out, like the cubicle life was, you knew, like, you were frustrated with it. It wasn't enough. And me talking about construction or what it was like working out here was intriguing to you.
For sure. I've always, in the military, I worked with my hands. I was a helicopter mechanic. And so I learned well that way. I like that hands-on. I mean, even working with Doug and Noah, you know, if there was a task, I learned better getting in the thick of it. And I know that sounds weird going to school and everything. I just got to do things. But that's what I've always liked about construction is that you're in it. And so, yeah, it was very intriguing. So when getting out there, being able to do that, it was cool.
Yeah. There's a feeling of accomplishment at the end of the day when you work with your hands. Yeah.
Instant. Yeah.
So Noah hesitated, right? Noah, you don't feel it every day because you didn't really get enough done. Like if you would have installed more, you would know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Oh, probably installed more, and then
That's probably right. That's probably true. And so, Doug, you were at university at Ohio State.
It was a branch. There was a branch of Ohio State, not the
Okay.
university. This was Newark branch.
Okay, Newark branch.
It'd be like going to UTSA here, basically.
Got it. And so the classrooms had air conditioner and
Oh yeah. It was
air
a good
condition
setup.
and girls.
Yeah. And I
you
left
chose
it.
plumbing.
I chose plumbing. I hadn't looked at it that way, but yeah.
And what was it about plumbing that helped you make that decision?
I don't know. I felt a sense of belonging, and with the group of guys I was working with, I enjoyed the guys I was working with at the time, and
Hey, Robert.
and then we'd go to school, apprenticeship school at nights twice a week.
There is
and I don't know what
change order.
I really don't know what
down the road, but
brought me into it, but I didn't like going to college. I really wasn't a book guy. I was more of a hands-on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
person.
let's fence it in. I guess let's fence it in. There's some clearing and some stuff like that I don't think we're gonna do yet. But we can protect
you're gonna keep your shit, Jeremy, if you take a call.
Thanks.
I know he's trying to look important right now.
Yeah, watch out. He's a project manager. Chill out.
Now it's just my mom. She's checking in.
That's even better.
Yeah. Mijo, are they being nice to you? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, shit, no, Jesse's on the call. You know ain't going to be nice.
Actually, what I'm thinking about, I felt like it was easier than the book learning of college. That's what I felt.
Was it because, like you say, easier? Was it because there wasn't anything to learn? Or it was...
No, there was learning. There was definitely a lot of, but it was a different type of learning. I don't know how to explain it, but rather than just looking at a book, reading a book, and learning out of the book, this is learning with hands-on, back to what Jeremy was saying. And it just felt more encouraging to me, I guess.
Oh, good. I know exactly what you mean, man. I can relate to that for sure.
How about you, Nowinski? And can y'all see Noah's face? Because all I see is his beautiful lips.
I think he's
You broke up. I didn't hear you.
So all we see is your lips. We don't see your whole face.
Well, we see an area that should have an Adam's apple, but we're not seeing one either.
So the question is, what were you thinking your career would be back in middle school or high school?
So,
Do they have high schools in Hondo?
actually, I didn't go to school in Hondo. I graduated from DeHennis.
Oh, that's right, the Hennis.
Even smaller. By the time I was a junior, I was already starting to work my way to get into the military. I was going into the Marines. My family is very heavily military, so it was like it felt normal to follow suit. But late in my junior year, I wound up becoming a father of two from two different women. Instantly had me thinking differently. Time 9/11 and all that stuff was going on, and it was, am I going to come out of the military? Am I going to come back? Am I going to be alive? And I didn't want to leave my future children. So I decided to hang back. And at that point was, all right, I need to graduate and I need to get a job. I got 2 mouths to feed, including my own. And my stepfather worked for Ferguson for many years and knew a lot of people with TD. When he knew I needed to get a job, he stuck his neck out there and said, hey, my boy needs a job. And next thing you know, I'm interviewing at TD and they're like, yep, we'll take you. Started there. TD put me in school and just kept pursuing it.
So you completed the 4 years of apprenticeship?
Yep. Graduated from ABC.
How old were you when you started with TD?
I was 18.
Nice. Perfect. Awesome.
That is.
Have you haven't quit yet, have you?
Nope. I'm not a quitter.
Oh, bird. Dang. Dang. And so you're how old are you? 35?
35 now.
Wow.
17 years.
Almost 17 years, yeah.
Yeah, he can be a lifer there, man.
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
good. Hope you're putting in the ESOP.
Yeah, I am. But my stupidity when I was younger, I didn't do that.
Oh,
That's when
Wow.
you needed to buy. It was back then.
I didn't because I was like, one, I was paycheck to paycheck, right? I had mouths to feed. And then two, the way I was thinking, stocks go up and down all the time. I ain't wasting my money. I ain't gonna risk my money on that,
Right.
you know? So I didn't gamble, and oh well, it is what it is, right?
yeah. But didn't you invest it in that super sweet Ford Focus?
Shit, that was a bad bitch right there.
Focus on this, baby.
That was top of the line.
Yeah, I don't know about that, man, but it was nice.
Yeah,
It was nice.
that could have been nice ESOP money right there.
That's what happens when you're young and dumb and your priorities are out of whack, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I spent plenty of money on attorney's fees that I could have put into stock. So I ain't judging, baby. I ain't judging. Oh man, that's awesome. So you entered at 18. How old were you, Doug, when you started in the trade?
I was 18 as well. I mean, I was right out of high school. I started college, like I said earlier, and was just getting some cash flow with working for this plumbing company that actually came looking for me. I was in school for drafting in high school. That's where I graduated. The school that I went to was like a JVC. They called it Joint Vocational School. What it was, and they have contacts with people after you graduate. And this plumbing company was looking for somebody to help with estimating. So I basically, when I first started with this, I was going to school for engineering, working at this plumbing company called Houston Plumbing. It has nothing to do with Houston, Texas. Just It was the last name. And they had me working in the office helping do takeoffs. So basically all I was doing was takeoffs. They would do all the data, but I was getting linear footage and all that. And eventually they needed some help in the field. They put me in the field, and the rest is history. I started an apprenticeship program through them, and I never got out of it. So. Nice. And I was 18, 19 years old. So
you were in your 20s, Jeremy?
Oh yeah, I was brand new at 27.
Okay. So I was at TD. I was there for 17 years. So be careful, Noah. The 17-year itch comes around. That's right about the time I bailed on y'all. And we touched a little bit about the ESOP, and I think it's important to talk about the employee ownership aspect of TD, because Doug, I bet you've worked for a few companies. Mm-hmm. Like Noah doesn't know. Noah's only worked for one.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that different? How is TD different than a lot of other companies?
So, I mean, luckily I have worked for some good companies. I know there's some bad ones. Actually, the first bad one I worked for was when I first came to Texas, moving down here. I can't remember the name of the company, but they were not.
They must have been that bad.
Yeah, they were just wanting to get the job done. They didn't care. Safety wasn't a big thing. I remember on the job site, two of the lead guys on this project were, towards the end of the day, were cutting up copper and taking it to scrap. Wow. And they were just reordering more copper. Said, we need more copper.
It sounded like
and I was just new to Texas. I was like, what the hell's going on? and I was not about to be a snitch or anything. I was just going through my day. And then luckily that company laid me off as the project was finishing. And that's when I came to TD. TD is definitely a great company to work for. It's employee owned. You know, you get parts of the profits as long as you are putting in the ESOP. So from what I'm understanding, they do give out some bonuses, but the majority of your profit sharing is through the ESOP. If you don't put money into it, you're not getting a part of the pie. So, but it's still a benefit, and as well as a 401k. So if you're at least putting in the 401k, they're matching that as well. Like you said, there's companies out there that are taking all the profits and not even paying you well, just making money off of you.
What about the culture?
It's an open book culture. It's an open conversation right there in every meeting. Voice your opinion, as well as safety. You got a really good safety culture. If you need something for safety, we'll get it. In fact, we demand that you get it. We don't just say, we don't ask you if you need it. We tell you you need it. So
Yes.
Whether you like it or not.
whether you like it or not.
And that's okay though. Like some of us need that, man. I mean,
for sure.
We talked about it this morning at breakfast. There are some protocols in place now that I would absolutely not violate. And if I saw people violating it, I would like, stop. This isn't cool. You're at risk. But 15, 20 years ago, I didn't think about shoring in the ditch, right? I just went and got in the ditch. I didn't think about leading edge and worried about working near the edge of a roof. I would go hang off the edge just to see how cool it looked from way up top, you know?
I think that's the industry as a whole, though, across the nation or across the world, probably. Safety has become more and more a focus than it had when I first started. Because I do remember not having any safety programs at all. I mean, I remember standing on top of an A-frame ladder at the very top because that's the only ladder I had to reach where I needed to go. And there was no safety. I mean, I didn't realize what I was doing really wrong at the time.
Right.
I felt like I was pretty well on my feet and balanced, but man, anything could have knocked me off. But as accidents have happened over the years, that safety comes into play, and we've evolved into this safety first culture now in construction as a whole, and production kind of falls in right behind that.
So the three of you have children. All four of us have careers in construction. What do you think about your kids working in construction?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's definitely it's lucrative and stable, depending on which type of construction you get in. But it is very stable career.
Yeah, for sure. I second that. I wouldn't mind at all.
How about you, Nowinski?
I don't have no offense to it, right? If they want to get into it, that's great. I'm just worried about if they could handle it. They're relying on technology and stuff, and technology is starting to come around, right, for construction, but there is still manual labor that needs to happen. And I'm worried in that aspect if they can handle the manual labor. That's the only thing that would bother me or worry me about the construction future.
So is that like for your own kids or kids in general?
I got a lot of feedback from others, that have children around my age. They're more technology. They don't like to do actual labor, like take out the trash, which takes effort. You can't just click a button and it gets done, right? I've heard it a lot. I mean, it may not be as bad as I'm thinking. I know it's probably not getting any better.
What do you think about that, Doug?
I think he's hit a good point there. There's easy, lazy money out there. I always kind of felt like people in sports were more cut out for skilled trade type. There's like a
correlation there.
Yeah, sports you had to work to get benefits or to win. You're working to win. Where computer generated stuff, you're really not breaking a sweat. Sports brings you into that mindset. You're going to break a sweat to accomplish something, and you have that competitive nature. And construction is very competitive. It's always been one of my thoughts, but I don't know what you guys think.
I could see that. I guess I never made that connection, but it makes sense.
I think two things. Doing digital stuff like podcasts, there's nothing wrong with it, Doug. Don't judge me. Question about the generation. This generation's digital. This generation doesn't want to work as hard. They don't make them like they used to. I think every generation has said that.
I don't know. I totally see Noah's point. I do believe all that. But I think it's it's our fault too. Like my kids,
Yeah.
I feel like it's because, I'm chasing this and I'm doing this and I went to school late and so maybe some of the things that I was doing when I was young, we just make it easy. It's easy to give them the crap, man, and let them consume their time a certain way. So there's definitely some fault on our part, but we didn't have a choice back then. We didn't have this stuff. So where you say it's every generation, I don't know, right? Because now they're in their rooms playing the games. When I didn't have a choice back then to go outside and play baseball, play football, do all that sports, tough sweat stuff that makes it not scary to get in a ditch,
Right.
hang off the edge of a roof, because we were jumping off the roof anyway,
Right, exactly.
I can't imagine my kids. I think they're extremely capable. It's just they've never been asked to do it before.
Yeah, it's the mental ability, because there's a mental toughness that you need to go out there and sweat and accomplish something.
Well said. Jeremy, you touched on this generation. I don't think any of us has done a study of an entire generation, right? Like we're talking about the people in our lives that we know directly.
Sure.
And we've created that condition, right? So if I think about my baby brother, Renee, I protected him and I did some things to keep him comfortable and not, I mean, the dude's 6 something with arms that are like 5 feet long. He could have been a baller and I could be retired right now. But he was not into athletics. And we, for different reasons, that was okay for some of us, meaning my mom, not me. And the first time he got a job working at TD, it was a sheet metal hand. And I think he worked there like 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, and he quit because he didn't have that mental toughness. And I think that's natural, right? As a parent, you want to take care of, you want them to have a better life than you did and all that good stuff. But Jeremy, back in our day, we were like the Sega generation, the Nintendo generation.
No, no. Yes, but only if you could afford it.
Well, exactly.
So we couldn't.
Hey, my generation was Atari, so they've been around for a while. So and the video games is not the only reason this is a problem, but every generation does make life easier for the future generation, right? We're just constantly making it easier and easier. It all starts from the damn remote control to the TV, right?
And that's one aspect.
We made it easy, and we want the next thing to be easy.
You throw the social media stuff in that. We had the games is one thing, and now you got social media. Now you got Instagram stars and people making money off YouTube, and everybody wants to do it that way. I can totally see it's a challenge, getting people to probably join the military. Who's going to join the military? Probably a bunch of poor kids. I think it's going to continue to get harder and harder. I admire and appreciate what you're trying to do, because I think you're absolutely right, man. And that's something I didn't buy into maybe way back when. Like construction, you can have a good life, man. Make good money and feel good at the end of every day, as long as you're as productive as Doug and not Noah. So I do see it, right? Perspective was a little bit different as somebody that came into the trade and was playing catch up against guys my age, right? So you had Sam, you had Charlie, you a couple years older, you guys were advancing, and I was an apprentice, and I think I would have caught on, and I think maybe caught up at some point, but education was just my way to kind of play catch up. And so that's why I went to school and did that whole bit. Of my kids, my daughter, I went to school late, right? There's a bunch of young women, construction science and management degrees, joining the field out there from, I think of what I do now, there's, I think at least 2 women that are doing the utility work in the ditches and the hard work and putting in the time, and who knows, right? From that level up. But yeah, I think about my kids. I don't know. I like to think they got some of that toughness, but they haven't been asked. They haven't been challenged in that way yet. And
who's responsible for setting that challenge?
Yeah, it sucks, man, because you're right. You want to take care of them, and I'm sure Doug and Noah think about that all the time too. But going off to college, being alone by yourself the first time, that's tough in its way. And so
I think what plays in part too, whether we think about it at the time, it's kind of unintentionally, we're like, man, do we really want to push our kids to do what I'm doing? The mental abuse, I say abuse, but the mentality that we have to go through, the physical abuse we go through.
Jesse wasn't that bad, Noah. Come on.
I'm wondering if that was in the back of my mind and that was something that I was intentionally trying to avoid towards my children, right?
That's fair.
But not realizing it.
Right. So the other thought I had about the whole subject, and to your point, Doug, about students being involved in athletics, the sweat factor to accomplish something, like, which is really delayed gratification, right? You practice your ass off to go play for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Or Noah and Jeremy, we all played baseball. I think you played baseball too, didn't you, Doug?
Yeah. Actually, I played baseball at the Ohio State branch. Played baseball through my younger age and played football. Yeah, I played also. And, of course, track. I was big on track more than anything. But, yeah, I definitely had this sports background.
All right. And so we become conditioned to, like you said, Noah, I thought you were going to start crying about the mental abuse and the physical abuse.
You were my mentor
But yeah, you learn that in sports.
Yeah.
So it's how to handle that mental push, that abuse. I mean, no pain, no gain, right? We've always heard that. So.
And there's that old school construction vibe too, man, that, thick skin, you got to be tough. And I didn't have an issue with it. I came from the military. By the time I got to TD, that's the world, man. You got to be able to take comments, like shots at each other. It's all in fun. There's no animosity. That's the nature of construction, And like you say, not only is safety changing, but I think that atmosphere is changing a little bit too.
And we got to adapt, right? Like things are changing and we got to adapt. I mean, when I was out there with y'all and recruiting people, they would say, like, what are you looking for? The schools, when we started that internship program, I said, I don't want straight A students. I want the kids, like if they're in band, if they're in athletics, if they're in some kind of extracurricular activity that requires them to get up earlier and be at school more than the rest of the kids, or stay after school to practice more than the rest of the kids.
That's cool.
And it's a team function. I don't care what their grades are. If they got that, that's what we need.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And back to the social media thing, because things like the social contact that we can have now does not require being outside of the house and doing social things as a group, the ability to work in a team is getting severely impacted. Is that, like, I can do all this stuff isolated in my room, so I don't develop the skills of working on a team and talking smack and taking the jabs because I've been in this bubble.
Yeah, this little cocoon. Sure. And I don't think this Corona thing is going to help any, right? Look at everybody working. I mean, I wanted to meet and do this in person, but you were like, no, let's stay and do our little laptop thing and team meetings.
You're right. Society as a whole has become more sensitive. And it does affect the construction as well because everybody's sensitive.
Construction probably could have used a little softening, right?
A little, and I think we have. Definitely have.
I just say that getting women involved in construction, and that's not a bad thing, but there was probably some adapting that needed to happen on the construction site in order to allow for that to happen. So I think probably a good thing. I do see what you're saying, and I do see that argument with softening, generally speaking, and that whole bit. But
with some of those women that I used to work for in the construction industry, they were tougher than you, Jeremy.
That's probably true. Hard to argue against that. I saw that when you were giving them lap dances. I saw that.
they wanted to work.
All right, cut that out.
Doug is offended.
This conversation is going the wrong direction.
Thank you, Doug. Doug, the voice of reason, baby.
I told you he was the only adult involved in this conversation.
Tell me what y'all think about this. I agree that maybe we're getting softer we're getting softer at a rate faster than I'm comfortable with.
Yep.
Now, on that note, I also feel there was a measure of respect that was lacking in our industry.
Sure.
Very true.
And so, like, we're starting to improve that or close the gap on the respect situation. And at the same time, the sensitivity thing is also kicking off. Is it two separate things or is it the same thing?
Good question. I don't think you have to be sensitive to respect somebody. You can be hard on somebody and respect them at the same time. You're just pushing them, to be greater, to be better.
Do you think it has to do with the demographic of society that construction workers come from? Is that where that lack of respect comes from? I look at the military, and you had to be tough and thick-skinned in the whole bit, but there was still structure and accountability for when you got disrespectful. You don't really have that old school in construction because it's not the military, obviously, right? So did that have something to do? And so now softening allows for respect, but I just wonder if that lack of respect, I feel like I work with a lot of guys even to this day with the field where we're at, and there's some hard asses, tough dudes, man, and they're great at what they do, but they're not gonna easily fall in line. They're just not.
No.
And that's construction, generally speaking, but in today's construction, you can't really have that, even though you kind of feel like we want that and need that sometimes. It's not gonna work as we continue to progress.
Yeah, I feel you. There's some old behavior that's ingrained into our industry, right? That's, you said, tough and hard and old school. It's existed for a long time. So, like, Doug, y'all, all the three of y'all, we've all dealt with this, right? You work with a superintendent, with a general contractor that's, got the gray hair and the leather face. They've been out there. They've been doing it for years. And they're going to talk to you a certain kind of way. And it's like, okay. They're aggressive. Well, maybe not you, Jeremy, because you're a hot shot.
I ain't gonna have that shit. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll speak for myself. I'll tolerate it more from an older person, somebody that's got some decades on them in the industry, than from somebody my age or younger. Like, my age or younger, or even close to my age, like, hold on, bro. Like, you don't have those years on you. I know you didn't live that life. Like, we ain't doing business this way. Back to the generational thing. How much of it is because that's just the way it was?
A lot of it was because of that, right? That was construction. While we leave that behind and the softening up thing, we're gaining respect because people are respecting probably authority and positions, maybe a little bit more than they used to in the past, that old construction. Even now, as a PM, I would never go out there and bark at my superintendent or my foreman. Those guys have been doing it so much longer than I have. There's no way that I could talk to them like that. I wouldn't do that out of respect.
But as apprentice, you were a smack talking apprentice. I know.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I don't remember it that way at all.
Yeah.
No, I worked for Doug a lot. Doug knows.
I never had any trouble with Jeremy. I fed him information. I mean, my idea of respect is coming together as a team for one goal, sharing information. The ones that don't respect are the ones that don't want to be on the team, want to come in and go home as quick as possible. They're not there for the end goal. They're just there for 8 hours of their paycheck, and they don't care about the end goal. I respect the ones that are there to help me get to the finish line.
Yeah, and I can say that I worked with Noah on one of his projects. I worked with Doug on their projects. I never had any problems with either one of them. And I think it's easier to follow that type than it is to follow a guy like, I don't know, like maybe a Charlie sometimes, right?
Yeah, no, Jeremy, you always had questions. You were very curious about. You didn't want to just do what we told you. You wanted to know why we're doing it.
Why?
And I like that about you. I would explain whatever you needed to know, and I thought we got along well.
No, for sure. And I worked with other people there at TD. As an apprentice, you bounce around a little bit, and so that didn't like that. Just go do it.
Yeah.
And so I that was never going to work for me, man.
Well, the planning that planning aspect that me, Jesse, and Doug were pushed probably helped educate you as well to understand. When we would pre-plan drawing, that planning led into it, why we were doing it. Probably helped out a lot because I know Jesse was all about plan.
Well, I thought y'all wanted to do it at Pearl. I remember Doug saying, like, Jess, we need to do this different kind of planning, build some spreadsheets. Was it that you, Doug?
Yeah, no, I wanted the spreadsheets because I never knew how to determine. I mean, we have a task. I had a hard time making the judgment on this should take a week to do. I wanted some data to tell me, yeah, this should take a week to do, and that's kind of why we developed that.
We talked a little bit about technology as it relates to kids and not sweating. How about the level of technology that y'all are playing with now in the field? Did y'all ever expect that?
I've embraced it, but I see a lot of value in it.
Yeah.
But I never saw it coming.
Yeah, I saw at school when I was going through the program, some of the programs that was out there. They introduced us briefly to a lot of these different stuff, BIM, building information modeling, and Navisworks, and how HVAC and plumbing, and you could, look for conflicts and all these different things. And of course I relate everything to past experiences like everybody, right? So I had residential experience and wondered how it could be implemented there, but the cost in residential is probably not applicable. But TD, I'm like, damn, I wonder if TD is going to get into this, TDI, and how it's going to fit and the direction they're going to move in. So I don't work in those fields anymore, but man, I saw what was out there. And if you guys are doing anything like that, man, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, it is awesome. The VDC team, and we pretty much build the building before we even break ground. We model it, coordinate it. We get maybe 80%. You'll never get 100% coordinated out, but it helps us a lot to see at least the layers of the work, the potential conflicts that's coming up, and we can look at them more in the field once we get to that position. But there's definitely huge benefits of pre-modeling a project and then bringing in the Trimble so you don't have to pull string lines, tape measure blowing in the wind, trying to get a measurement in a wall. The Trimble puts us right on the dot.
You remember the first time Doug was introduced to the Trimble?
Yeah, he was fucking worried.
I was worried.
He was fucking sweating. He was like,
I
remember that day when the first day Trimble went out there, we were doing the pans on the first level of Emma on the new building, and Doug told me, like, do you trust this? How do you feel about this? And
I forgot all about that.
I did it.
Apparently Jesse did it.
I know. I remember Jesse always telling me, trust the Trimble.
And he was like, man, I don't know if I could trust it. And then he started doing this whole, hey, Noah, hold this tape to them. I mean, these hit, but I mean, what about the rest of them? And to himself, trust the Trimble. Trust the Trimble. Wasn't that bad, right?
No, actually, that project, that was Pearl Hotel, right?
Yep.
I think we hit damn near all but 3 sleeves. Is only out of 600 sleeves we probably put in.
Oh, we put way more than that.
Probably more than that, yeah. But there was only 3 of them that was out of that whole job.
And then we had
very impressed.
We had a couple thousand inserts.
Oh yeah, it works as long as it's calibrated properly. Because there are issues with operators' capabilities, and they don't get it calibrated properly or localized, as they call it, and then all your measurements are off. So it is still good to pull that hard tape measure, verify 1 or 2, and then if they're good, they're good. The rest of it's good.
Let it roll, baby. So we started off way back where we met. Here's the question. So Jeremy, I don't know if you're looking at your wiener or you're texting.
Why do you go to him all the time?
I mean, Noah. I forgot how sensitive you are.
Yeah. You've been out of the superintendent role, bro. You still got to play feelings and emotions.
No. Speaking about sensitive and the new generation, right?
Right.
Noah, like we've known each other for a long time, the 4 of us. What do you think about where each of us are at now? Meaning, what do you think about where Doug's at? Were you surprised? What have you learned from him? How has he impacted you? Same thing with Jeremy.
To start off, I mean, obviously with Doug, when he first went into the superintendent role, I didn't know until I think he was already in it for a year. And I was kind of shocked because I knew that was your drive. Your drive was to make him a superintendent. And I know for past conversations with Doug that he was very hesitant. He kept saying, no, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. Now that he is, I mean, the amount of stuff that I learned from him, yeah, I don't see him stopping. I see him going further. He taught me a lot. Definitely double checking, cross reference, not necessarily not to trust anybody, but to basically in your mind, you know it's right.
Verify.
And you verified that there is no issue. He stressed that a lot towards me, especially on Emma. And he always pushed that on me is, you know, we would finish something and get an inspection. He's like, did you verify everything was right? And I'm like, shit. I didn't. I was just trusting the guys like, oh, yeah, they got it done. It's right. But in the back of your mind, you don't know it's right until you verify. As far as how to approach things and stuff and handle things is definitely some other aspects I learned from Doug. You, Jesse, I would say the main thing is you pushed on me was plan, and get your paperwork done. And put it on paper so you can see it, you can feel it, you can visualize it, and then you can push towards that. You need to put it on paper so you can show it to your guys. So they can
Need a goal.
Understand it. They can understand it, what their expectations were, and basically to do better for yourself, to take the weight off of you and kind of put it on the guys and let them take over. As far as Jeremy, it was basically like, don't be a bitch, just get it done.
I would say that to you a lot. My bad. Bad.
But what I learned from him is he was a hustler. It didn't matter if it was, Noah, you're telling me to get in this ditch and it's waist deep of water and I needed to tie this line in. If I told him that it needed to get done, he'd fucking do it. Most of the time. I would get some negative feedback every now and then it was more of, hey, don't be a bitch. I would throw it right back at him. But he had a drive, right? He had a drive that I saw and admired. Even though I wasn't working with him very long, I think we worked together maybe between 2 projects, a total of a year. But if I had something that came up and it needed to get done, he was the one I went to.
It's simple for me. Not surprised at all.
Mine was confident. Mine was like difficult or what?
No. I'm just gonna be quicker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, remember the question. I mean, because Noah went deep into that answer. So
yeah. Nah, for me, it's no, not surprised at all, man. Noah, I expected to eventually be a superintendent. God damn, man, you've been doing it since you're 18. You better. And Doug was always a badass and easy to work for, and as long as he could get his head wrapped around the technology part, I see him. I don't even know what's next, but you guys are gonna kill it. And then even you, Jesse. God damn, man. I mean, I don't know. I guess eventually you'll own Turner or Joris or one of them companies. So now, I mean, I will say that about all my construction in the field, I've been super fortunate to be around good people that helped. And so I've tried to take as much as I can from the time I had, as little as it may have been. I mean, I was only at TD 3 years, but I feel like I was around some awesome people during that time. So I've always taken that with me. And then you use that experience to compare against everywhere else you're at, man. And it's hard not to do that when you're around high quality guys. So that's my little take.
Nice. Thanks for keeping it under an hour.
Yeah, so mine will be a little short and sweet too. But yeah, Noah, I always knew he was going to move up. He was more of a guy that wanted to get it done, less on the planning part of it, but he's learning to do the planning part of it. I mean, he would just push the guys, get it done. I mean, he was always good for that, and very knowledgeable at learning, curious, and always learning what he needs to know. As well as Jeremy. Jeremy, pretty much the same thing. I know he didn't work that long with us, but when he did, like I said earlier, he was always curious. He wanted to know. So I'm not surprised about him being in his position, because he was a pretty smart kid, and I knew he was going to continue to learn whatever he needed to grow. And then Jesse, you always have talked about wanting to be a teacher, and that's kind of the role you've went into. So you've always been less of wanting to be involved in the day-to-day stuff. You'd rather be teaching for future generations to be prepared for the construction industry, and that's kind of where you're at. You're what now? Lean process?
Yeah.
In charge of lean processes.
You do something with some little podcast or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's lean processes is valuable to be taught. Definitely in the construction.
It's kind of making money like the newer generation is trying to do, all easy shit.
You know it. No, I mean, for me, guys, like with Jeremy, it's perseverance, because you've been through some shit.
Yeah.
Right. Personally, and what you've been through, that would have taken a lot of people offline, meaning they would have given up and, played the victim card.
Yeah.
And you've never done that. And you continue pushing on. It's easy for me to start thinking about how hard my life is, right? But having people like you in my life help me say, like, man, it ain't that bad. Like, this really isn't that bad. I can deal with this. Doug has always been, I mean, even at the beginning of this call, I'm like, man, do you guys think Doug's gonna get on the call? And Noah's like, yeah, of course, Doug will be here. So like, Doug's always been steady, dependable, all the time. And that's, I haven't always had that quality as an adult, or even yet at all. But it's something to aspire to, right? When I think of people that I can depend on, that are steady, like go-to people, I think of Doug. And Noah, the last time I did the last planner boot camp thing there at the office, you blew my mind when you came and you're like, dude, I already knew this. This is the crap you've been forcing down my throat all this time. And like, it was funny, but you always had the knowledge. You always had the capability. You always had more, like when we went golf, didn't you start golfing with us? Like, you hadn't golfed ever before?
Yeah, because I got jealous because y'all three would come back like Monday and be talking about golf, laughing and making jokes of what y'all did during the round. I always had a curious for golf, with me being in heavily sports, right? I was like, I want to try it, and y'all were like, come on, just go on Craigslist and buy yourself a cheap ass set and come out. I think that right there is what locked us together. Man, I had the time of my life.
But you came out having never played, and then like smoked all of us, except for maybe Doug.
Nah, his drive is ridiculous.
His drive is 300 feet to the right and then come back to the left.
Right? You've always had this kind of raw talent. Couple that with the last planner system boot camp that we were in. Like, you've had that talent, and what you've helped me appreciate is patience. Because I used to get like freaking Noah, like, God, but you got it. You're a superintendent now, you know, and
that's pretty
and
awesome.
So that helps me understand, like, Jess, don't give up on everybody, because people are taking in, or I am providing some kind of value or something that will pay off for the individual in the future. Like you said, Doug, I like teaching. I don't like getting rejected. Well, when I'm teaching, most of the time I'm getting rejected, right? Because people want to do things the way they've always done them, and that's okay. But Noah, like, you're a phenomenal example of the teaching taking root and then coming up and actually helping somebody experience a higher quality of life.
It's almost like you're saying, if God damn, I'll never give up again, because I know if Noah got it, then anybody will get it. You know? So, it's like a pretty way of saying that, but I got you.
Yeah, that's the concise way to say it.
Yeah.
And then as a group, we talked a little bit about it this morning at breakfast. You know, the camaraderie that we have, man. Like, I swear, when Noah, you were texting and giving me shit, even though you didn't want to pay for my entry fee, I was kind of worried. Like, man, I haven't seen these guys. Like, is it going to be weird? But it's not. It was like just last weekend that we played golf.
Yeah.
And so the camaraderie that I can't find that anywhere else, right? I found that working together, sweating together, working towards a goal together, pushing, challenging each other, ribbing each other, talking smack to each other, writing each other up. Like, all of those things really helped us.
I don't know if there was a return in the writing part, but
oh yeah,
but I think that was one way. It was just in one direction. Yeah, but it's easy, man. It's easy for me because I have a lot of respect for each of you. You know what I'm saying? I think that, so for me, that's what it is. It's, you know, these guys, same work ethic in a way, right?
Yeah.
Different levels. Jesse, you're a beast, but in the field, the work ethic and working with Noah, so it's easy to kind of, you can relate. I saw them. I know how hard they work and shit like that. So I have appreciation for that. And even though I'll bust Noah's balls a little bit, I know what all you guys are capable of, man. And it's cool. No, it really is cool to see a superintendent, man, especially after going to the service side.
I know.
Yeah.
I thought we lost him forever.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you went that direction. But you like to play with what you like to play with, so.
So you want to know why I went in that direction?
No, we're good. What was the next question?
Next question, please.
Next question.
Why did you go to service? Was it for money?
It was two things. It was money and growing. When I went to service, it was smaller, and I wanted to grow at a faster rate. Like, I wanted to be in a management position, in a lead position. And at the time, I felt like what we had on top of me, it was stuck and locked. And I wanted more money, which more money required me to move up. So when I went to service, they were telling me, they were amazed by like what I knew and how I would approach little projects. And they were like, oh man, dude, we're going to make you a manager. And I was like, all right, yeah, this is what I want. I want to move into a higher level, make more money, take more load off of my body, because I'm obviously not getting any younger. And it didn't work out. I had the want to get back into construction because I missed believe it or not, I missed the planning part of it, drawing ISOs, doing takeoffs. I missed that. It was like, if it was too easy in service, I wanted to get back into it. When I asked, they were like, oh yeah, we'll take you back in a heartbeat.
Well, guys, we're about at the 90-minute mark. Is there any topic or question that we should have covered? Not you, Noah. You already got half of the airtime. Thank you for jumping on, man. This was cool. It was good catching up. And I guess July 17th, huh?
19th.
July 19th. My bad.
Yeah.
I would love to try to do like twice a month or even once a month like we used to.
Well, let's just try for once, because
Jesse.
Jesse, you get
guys,
him committed and you get him flaking out, and we can't.
Yeah. I'm starting. I think I'm having a panic attack.
Yeah.
Slow down, damn it.
Start talking like that, Noah.
Well, I mean, and he's national now too. He's got to travel.
Yeah, he travels and stuff.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I've got.
But
let me clear it with my agent. And I'll get back to you.
Now it's really good seeing you guys, though.
Yeah,
man.
was.
Yeah, same here.
All right, guys, y'all be cool. Man, you are one dedicated listener, sticking with us all the way through to the very, very end. Please know that this podcast dies without you, and we invite you to share how the episode's impacting you, along with your thoughts, questions, and suggestions. You've been gracious with your time, so we added social media links in the show notes to make it super easy for you to connect with us. Be kind to yourself, stay cool, and we'll talk at you next time.